Welcome to the Leading Woman Show. According to the Interparliamentary Union, an organization that monitors the percentage of women in national parliaments, Nigeria ranks 182 out of 192 countries. There are so many reasons for the underrepresentation of women in politics. These issues range from patriarchal practices in our society to lack of financial empowerment and so on. The National Bureau of Statistics stated that the highest representation of women in the national parliament of 7.2% was recorded between 2007 and 2011. However, in 2011 to 2015 and 2015 to 2019, there has been a reduction to 6.6%. This data reveals that although there might be an increase in the participation of women, there is no assurance of more seats being won by them. If women must run and win elections, then we must begin to address some of the issues they face in the pursuit of their political ambitions. Hello and welcome to the Leading Woman Show. I'm Abosede Jojogan, and today I will be speaking to three very special guests. I'm honored to have in the studio with us today Honorable Tolu Akande-Sadipe, she's a member of the House of Representatives, Oluyole Federal Constituency, and Chairman, House of Representatives Committee on Diaspora. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Also in the studio with us today, we have Honorable Fatima Mohammed, who is a leader, philanthropist, and grassroots politician. She's the PDP flag bearer for the House of Representatives, Ifako Ijayi Federal Constituency. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
And finally, we have Mr. Bukola Idowu, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Kimpact Development Initiative. Welcome, Bukola. Now, let's dive into this conversation, and I'm sure you're ready. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation. Thank you all so much for being here today. So, Bukola, I want to start with you because you're the numbers guy, the data guy. So, I think from the background, there seems to be an increase when it comes to women's participation, right? So women aspiring, but that's not translating to women winning elections. What is the gap?
Yeah, I think you are right and spot on that, in that aspect of participation. We've had more participation than the actual election into leadership position. However, if you look at, of course, let's look at what we have presently, where we have over 1,000 candidates contesting for 109 positions in Senate, and then we have less than 10% of them running as, women. Now, I think it's just around 90-something, if not 80. Now, we also have, in the House of Representatives, we have over 3,000 contesting for that position of 360, and then you have like about 288 of them are women. So that gives you, and that number was actually a reduction from what we had in 2019. 2019 was a reduction to what we had in 2015. So, and the issue here is, and I think it's a bit worrying when you now see where the participation is getting higher, and that is in the aspect of campaign, in the aspect of mobilizing other women to support men now, and so you find that the participation is higher in that direction. But in terms of contesting, in terms of getting the form to contest, not being a cheerleader this time around, not being like clapping and then being used as campaign resources. So I think we have a sharp reduction in terms of that participation, and we need to do a lot around that.
Yeah.
And I think this is what this conversation is all about.
Absolutely.
And we need to get more people. And most especially, this less than 10% we had now, we need to do everything possible to get them into that position.
They actually win.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Bukola. So, Honorable Sadipe, Bukola has talked theory. You have been in the game. Our topic is, are women running but going nowhere? You have run and you have gotten there. But what do you think is why are women running and not getting these seats? What would you say to that?
Thank you for giving me the floor. The bottom line is this. Nigeria, socially, is a patriarchal society. Patriarchy gives this mindset that women don't belong in certain roles. Unless we work on that way of thinking, it will take us many, many more years to get where we're going. Nigeria was not always like that. Pre-colonial Nigerians, like in Nigeria, women were breadwinners, women were very successful. Even we had, here in southern Nigeria, women that were kings.
Yes.
But then colonialism brought this mindset of women belong in the kitchen or are decorative pieces who shouldn't speak. As a society, to now revert back to how we were, we need to make a conscious effort, which means all hands should be on deck. If all hands are going to be on deck, everybody that's speaking about this issue, in my opinion, I'm sorry, I think there's a lot of lip service. We do a lot of shows, a lot of conferences, a lot of NGOs. At the end of the day, the bottom line is the women need money.
That's right.
Financial power. How many NGOs are putting the money where their desires, supposed desires are? I have never received any money from any NGO. I raised money on my campaign through my old employers, my friends, and my family. And that's why I've been able to achieve what I've achieved. But without the financial capacity, we are going
That is a major barrier. Honorable Fatima, let me come to you. Why are women running and going nowhere? And I know you've run many. What is the blocker? What is the gap? Honorable Sadipe has said financial resources.
Financial.
What
Thank
are
you
some
so
of
much
the others?
for having me here and giving me the floor today. I'm just doing her line. We do not have financial strength. Like she has said, I have run twice before now, and everything that I have done, pre-elections, post-elections, and all of my empowerments and co, I have funded myself. So, hey, a lot of people are, rising up, supposedly speaking for the women. They just do a lot of shows. They speak, we're creating awareness, we're sensitizing them. All this sensitization is not culminating to proper empowering the women. And there's, you have a lot of financial institutions. I see a lot of women as, bank directors who expect to look in the political sector and say, let us help them actualize this 7.5% at least.
35% at least.
No, this 7.5 that we are saying, this 35 you're asking, we don't even have 10.
Yes, that's true.
So let us even first ensure that this 7.5 was sitting pretty before we now start asking for the 35 that looks like it's a very, very, very long thing. But empowerment, we're not empowered.
So Bukola, there's been an indictment on civil society, and you represent civil society. So civil society continues to run programs, right? And from what these women who have been in the race are saying, those programs are not solving the challenges, the barriers. What is happening?
Well, I think we need to, we don't need to kill the spy. I mean, we don't need to remove the cobwebs, but we have to go deeper and kill the spider that causes the cobwebs. Now, beyond money, there are loads of things that need to be in place.
Okay.
Number one, we need to work on our legislation from the political party. The political party needs to change their perception around women. Women are more important than women leaders that cook during convention and political party rallies. Women are more than mobilizing other women when we want to support and carry placard and take Ashwebi. Now, until you solve that, no matter the millions you pump into that participation, it's going through the drain. Because they also have, the political party structure also have a way of draining that. Even you can have the money, and I'm sure my co-panelists here will testify that, look, even with their money, they still find it tough. Spending their own hard-earned money, they still find it tough because the structures are not there. So we need to, first of all, look at that structure, get it sorted out. So even if you are putting little, you are going to go far. Number one, again, we also have to look at aspects of the society. So have all the money you have. We have had people having all the money they have, yet they can't win an election. Money play greater role in winning an election, but that is not 100%. So you still have to put other things in place. So I agree we need the financial power, but what about the structure? So what is structure? Now, the structure I am talking about is not the structure for the candidates now. I'm talking about the political party structure, their policy. So what is, for instance, Party A policy on women participation? And it goes beyond you are giving them free form. Because you give them free form, they don't have access to the delegate to campaign to during primaries. Now, all the delegates are camped somewhere, and then you are saying, well, I don't have access to them to campaign to. So, in fact, we have seen women who have been given free form, and then they get to the place of the primary, they find out that the place has been moved to another place. Yes. So, you have a lot of policy to work around the women participation within that. And she said something very important, the patriarchal system we are running. We have not only taken that from the traditional and the family circle, we have taken it into the public sector. We have taken it into the political party. So, and that is why we need to do a lot around that. Yeah. However, there have been NGOs. So I don't want us to box NGO and civil society to aspect of economic empowerment alone. There are NGOs doing that, supporting with resources. However, while that is also going on, can we also look at other NGOs supporting in terms of capacity? And advocacy. And advocacy. Yes. So for instance, now we do a lot around advocacy. Let's have a legislation that will back this participation up. That is one support NGO is giving. Yes. Let's open the space up. And see where that will lead us. Fantastic. So Honorable Sadipe, let's talk about your journey. Let's practicalize it. You know, we have you here. We don't want to. There are women who are going to watch this and say, how? Where do I start? What was your journey? And how do women who are aspiring get from point A to the position that they're aspiring to? What are some of those things you did?
How much time do I have?
Let's give you 2 minutes.
Can't tell you my journey in 2 minutes. But basically, in a nutshell, my first advent into politics was during the time of Abacha must go, Nadeko. I got involved through a colleague of mine when I was in accounting, public accounting in America. His name is Larry Banjo. He himself had contested several times in Ogun State under Gani Fahimi's party, National Conscience Party at the time. And I got introduced to Baba Inahoro and our father and our president in waiting, by God's grace, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And I worked directly with Baba Inahoro then in America. He was in exile. They were in exile at the time. And then I came back to Nigeria some years after, and I went into private sector. and I was doing my private sector thing, but I was never happy about the political scene in Nigeria. And I got an opportunity to go and serve in late Governor Abiola Ajimobi's administration as a special advisor. So I left Lagos and went back home to Oyo State. And while serving, I had no plans of being a politician. I just wanted to get things done. So I was able to attract a lot of great projects, like the Inland Dry Port was my work that went to Oyo State, the ANDP project. I got Dangote, who I had also worked with. I used to be an employee of Dangote Group, to partner with Oyo State in the rice revolution. So I added value to my state, and then I would go back home to my village and I would do things in my village. Towards the end of the administration, something now clicked and said, well, Tolu, you've been at this political thing, you've been voting, you're a member of a party. Why not stop complaining on Facebook and do something? And at the time, I stepped out and I started going to the rural women, hanging out with them, getting to learn things from them. And then I went to my governor and I said, I want to go to the House of Rep. And like a joke, because they used to all tease me that you don't know how to lie, you know. And they said, you want to do politics? And I said, yeah, I want to go into full-time participation. And at the time, he said there were 2 people ahead of you. The first lady was very happy because she felt that we needed more women, and she was on this campaign of more women, more women. So there are 2 men ahead of you who's been on it longer. If they're interested in that role, you'll have to go for state honorable. Fortunately for me, those 2 men, one said he wanted to be governor, one said he wanted to be the local government chairman, and therefore there was an opening for me. Also because late Governor Abiola Ajimobi believed in women. He believed that what a man can do, a woman can do. So he had no problems. And then his wife was also a builder of women. So she joined the bandwagon, supported me. Where I was lacking with political experience, she filled in for me. And we went to the field with a very strong woman leader. She passed on a few months ago as well. We call her Shaka Ade, Nikki Adebi. Awesome woman leader, supported me as well. I had to go out there and raise the money though. And like she mentioned earlier, she mentioned there are a lot of women in corporate world who have the means. The only woman that is in corporate world, that was an MD of a bank, supported me. I appreciate what she did, but she could have done more. When you look at the numbers and the funds, the men who I had worked with in the past were putting into my campaign. I got more support from the men. And for me, that was great. The money came and I went to the field. You need money for a lot of things. And as Bukola said earlier on, the party structure itself needs to respect women. I was lucky at the time that the people in this hierarchy of the party structure value the input of women and didn't see women as something that belongs in the kitchen. So that helped me a lot as well. So then I could go on, I contested, it was a battle. I was faced with a lot of violence. Violence is another thing that deters women. I'm a mother, I have children. And you know what happens when a child's mother is not around. I want to be around for my children. And that part of it scared me because there was once that an opponent shot at my car, as in, pew, pew, a gun. And the bullet came through the door and fell beside me. And that day, I was so shaken in the car, and I was saying, what the heck am I doing here? What am I doing here? What am I doing? I was saying it aloud because I was totally, the word is, freaked out. I have to tell you. So you get what I felt that day. And a lot of my team got injured that day. I had a lot of professional youths. I don't believe in hooliganism. I don't believe in thuggery. I had a lot of university graduates with me, my media team, and all. And then I used police for protection. But they overpowered us that day, obviously, surrounded my car, shot in, but I was able to get away. Because one of the policemen was seated in the car with me and told my driver, it's okay, drive through the crowd. Luckily, the crowd opened up and nobody got injured. So we went to the field on election day. there was, again, violence on election day. I had the protection because I contested from my village. So I wasn't in the city, I was in the village. And God willing, I won the election.
Fabulous.
But to get there, I must tell you, you need the support of your party. You need the support of the other women.
Yes.
You need the support of the men. And you need money. Every single step of the way costs money. And I'm not talking about money to do illegal things. No, I'm talking about you need posters. Give you an example. Every night, we go and we put posters out. The posters are there. By the following night, the opposition has gone to the same place and have put their own posters on top of your poster, which means the next morning, you have to go out there and put new posters. So if you needed like 5,000 posters for an election, by the time you've finished that election, you've put out nothing less than maybe 30,000 posters. Because you keep putting posters out and they keep...
practical things. Yeah. Thank you very much. We'll take a break. And when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Welcome back. We are talking about women running but going nowhere. So let's come back to this conversation. And Honorable Sadipe, thank you so much for sharing your journey and sharing practically what that journey looked like, the risks involved, and what some of the things that made a difference to you actually getting elected. Honorable Fatima, let's come to you. What has your journey been like? And what have you done differently? The times that you've run.
Yeah, I got into politics in 1999 and, basically I was revolting. I was driving past my mother's neighborhood and I saw them shutting a woman up. I'm very gender sensitive. So I parked and said, why did they tell you to shut up? He said, because they said the chairman is speaking and because she's a woman, basically. So I said, why? Is this how they do politics? So I said, what days do you do your meetings? So they told me, and then came the day of the meeting and sat in front. So he said, where you move to the back? I said, why? He said, because I said, hey. All of you seated here are more educated than you. I can do more things than you people. So let me sit here and even hear you out so we can. So, I fought my way through and just said, and that's how it started. And for me, I say this all of the time. I said, politics must be doable and achievable to the electorate. It's basically about the electorate. It's not about us. So I started to do things, that would endear me in the heart of the electorate. I am a very youth-friendly person and I told you I'm gender sensitive, so women. I started with the youth. I started, by giving out jam then. Took my locality, what's the problem? The level of education and all of that. So I said, okay, jam. I started with 50 jam. Then I said, okay, for 50 people, I can afford it from my purse. That's what I started doing. And then reaching out to the women. You see, you need to have multiple streams of income. I started telling them how to do other things, brought in people to train them, teach them. I don't believe in giving women cash after training. They give you seedlings of whatever I teach you. If you were taught tailoring, they would give you a machine, whatever you were taught. I started giving them seedlings. I started doing, things for the men too, speaking to them, creating awareness, basically. So I realized that by the time of that particular, tenure, I had built a very massive support base. So, and it was basically the youth. I am youth at heart, and it was the politicians, the grassroots politicians, because I tell people proudly all the time, I said, I am not an elitist politician. I am a grassroots politician. Like this setting now is giving me problems. He's not making me sit, and really mingle with my people. I love to just be in the midst and the middle of my people. That's what keeps me going. So someone said to me about 5 years ago, I was shot. I live with one hand. This hand, you can see the way it is split. So I still have a lot of pellets in it. The whole hand was ripped off. And people said, oh, Fatima, you shouldn't continue. I said, no, this is a passion. My passion is to see more people empowered, is to see the youth get off the road. I am from a constituency that is second largest in Lagos, Ifako-Ijaye, and it is sad. There hasn't been evidence of representation I mean, it's been 23 years. 23 years of being static. It's been same of the same and more of the same. So I said, I would continually shout. So I would, speak to students, bring them together and say, we must change this narrative. And so the revolution started. And I wasn't minding the pain. Sometimes the pain in the hand is so horrible, but I keep doing things. And I sit back proudly, and that's how we met. I tell people that I dare everybody who's contested, who's gone for the House of Reps, like she has said, they would manipulate. Last elections I won with over 4,000 votes. But you know how they do it. They would, hijack the ballot boxes. They would manipulate results. But I want to say thank you to the president. The electoral reform now would help us. It is how you are seated. So this time, there's nobody going to snatch ballot boxes for them anymore. There's nobody who they are going to changing 2,000 to 2 million. It's not going to work. So it is what you have done, your presidencies, what you have sown in your community.
That will speak for you.
What you are in the hearts of the electorate. She was saying about tearing posters. They get tired. I tell them, keep tearing my posters. I have legacies that I have built in Ifako that can never be torn.
So
they really
amazing. Beyond posters and tangible things. Bukola, I think that, thank you so much, both of you, for sharing this. We don't hear it enough, right? Because it's one thing to hear it, it's one thing to hear it from people who have actually been there. So Bukola, we wanted to, in this country today, if a woman wants to run, she must run under a political party. So let's talk a little bit about political party structure, starting with you. And then I think something she just mentioned now about, going into the next elections, what are their potential advantages for women? What are some of the things that the institutions, the system uses to sideline women? Because like you said, if we have women as candidates, why don't they become the winners? That's what we're talking about here today. So what are some of those things that hopefully women can take note of around security, around, maybe a judicial process that they can start to think about?
So I used to tell most people contesting, women especially, that your starting point is not even the campaign. Your starting point is understanding the electoral act. People don't know that. You can't be contesting and you have not seen a copy and digested a copy of the electoral act. It's not going to work. You need to understand. Now, there are provisions in that act that your opponent will use against you. So, number one, you need to understand that electoral act itself. No, she made mention of snatching of ballot paper. Now, do they snatch ballot paper everywhere? What is electoral act saying about that? And probably because the electoral act, in some instances, say, look, wherever there is riot or there is violence, they're likely going to cancel that particular place. What do they do? They cancel. They go snatch ballot box in the opponent's stronghold so that place can be cancelled. So when that place is cancelled, they are at advantage. Though you want in that particular place, but because there's a clear evidence of violence, it's cancelled. So you need to understand some of these dynamics. And somebody will say, look, that is part of politics. But that is not. But at the same time, you need to understand. And this is where that structure again comes in. So we need to now build a system to protect your votes. Now, and it starts not from you. It's not about the women. Like what you said, it's about the legacy. Okay. You need to let the people take ownership of your votes. So without you telling them, they are the one protecting the votes. So secondly, what is the dynamics about result transmission? You need to know. The dynamic has changed now. You don't need to travel from one ward with the result to the other ward, and then before you get to the place, they hijack the result, change it. But this time around, do you even monitor electronically? The transmission. Do you have to create your own situation room and monitor it and get your agent and even the citizen to begin to snap it the moment they paste it and compare with what is on the IREF portal so that you can look at this thing yourself. Again, this is another part I'm going to say is, and this is where you need to understand that the election is a process. don't think election is just what happened on the election day. Election is a process. So the process started from you getting the, what is it called? The
ticket.
The ticket. No, I mean,
nomination form.
the nomination.
That's
Then
true.
you go through the primaries. And then you start campaigning. And then on the election day, it doesn't stop there. The other aspect you don't really look at is the election petition tribunal. The electoral justice. When people, and that is one thing people don't really know. So when you're having your budget, you now find out that you fail to make budget for the
election.
electoral.
So I want to come to Honorable Sadipe and say, you've run before. You're running again. What are you going to do differently? And how are you going to leverage some of these things that Bukola just
What he has said already, even before the election petition tribunal, there is primaries law court cases.
That's right.
Pre-election cases.
Pre-election cases. As it is right now, as I'm sitting here with you all, one of my opponents has taken me to court. So I'm in court. And it's not an easy assignment, going to court, because you can't represent yourself in court. Even places where, I can't talk about the court case, but even places where they don't really have a case, you still have to pay for a lawyer. And those lawyers are not cheap. When this current case came up, the first lawyer asked for, again, back to money. The first lawyer asked for 30 million naira. Where am I going to find that? The lawyer that eventually did the case is paid less than that because there's family connection. Someone introduced me to someone who is willing to do it at a more reduced rate. When I won the election in 2019, I was taken to court by an opponent from a party which is known to do that every year in my state. They register a few people, some they don't register, they collect the form, they don't go through the process. But at the final end of the day, the party, one party, I'm sorry, PR something, I can't remember the name, sued me saying that INEC did not list them on the ballot sheet. They did not tender anybody for the election. They did not do the proper documentation to INEC. But I had to get a lawyer to fight the case.
Oh, wow.
The second case was my dear sister's party, PDP. But at the end of the day, we went to court. The judicial system did right, and I won. But it was an expensive exercise.
Exactly.
Other than, so again, I've gone back to money. Money is not everything. Now, I know you asked me not directly this question, but I must mention this. The party structure is very key. Women are given the position of party woman leader. But now, some of the parties have made it such that even a woman can be the chairman of the party. I know my party has done that. And also, I got, for example, me getting this ticket this time, we went to the field. There were delegates. See, it is not that delegates, the party camps delegates somewhere. No. Delegates are camped by contestants, not the party. So if you are loved by your delegates, luckily for me, I have built 13 schools. The 13th school is being built right now. I have powered 21 communities. I have provided water to 28 communities. I have empowered over 10,000 people. And I'm not talking about giving barbers, barbing stuff. I give them equipment that would really grow their businesses. I pay for their shops. This money comes from monies you lobby from federal government. You don't get cash. You get projects. I have given vehicles for mass transit. So I identify people, and they're my party members, obviously. But I also empower people from the communities. So right now, as a candidate in Oluyole Federal Constituency in Oyo State, I'm very popular. People from the communities, community leaders and community members are doing posters for me. They're making calendars for me because I am popular, because I have done what I am supposed to do, which is very, very key. I'm not indicting anybody. But today, if you look in my state, I am rated as the best member of the House of Representatives. That didn't stop me facing war. Even on the day of the last primaries, I was afraid for my life. And I appreciate my sister here's life. And I thank God that being shot did not remove you from being here today. We face that violence as well. I can imagine how much she has paid on her arm. That's again finances. When you give back to society and you give back the proper way, society will support you. And I am getting, honestly, I need to thank the people of Oluyole Federal Constituency.
Thank you so much. Let's come to the issue of security and violence in elections. Let us come to that conversation. What can women do?
Hey, but the thing is, what can women really do? The men would overpower us. They're obviously more than us.
Yeah,
we're talking security, violence, and all of that. Sometimes some of us will just say, you know what, like, you know, he's my father. I said that politics, you just have reasons to just, you know, switch. And Ashwaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu says that power is not served a la carte. That means you fight for it. In fighting for it, you assert yourself. Last elections, apart from me being shot, I lost one of my security team. You know, he was shot and they killed him. But what am I saying in essence is, sometimes you don't relent. Assert yourself. Like, I just had my flag off last week, Thursday, and I went into their domain to have it. And I was sending a message. It was raining heavily, and I had about 5,000 people. They put their chairs on their head and they stayed in the rain. And I was weeping. But you people should leave. They said, no. That is because, you know, like she has said, it's not about knowing allow your people to know you. I told them in my constituency, I said, you people should stop pasting posters. I have legacies that cannot die. I have youth in my constituency, in the university. I have 500 youths, some in the polytechnic, some in the university. I've never been in government, my personal funds. So these youths get up. Some are in the polytechnic in Ibadan. They come out by themselves. During the registration thing, they were doing registration for people, helping people collect their slips. You know, they're the ones who do most of these things. I have over 23 boreholes. I've never been in government. I have people who have served, the governor, the senators, the reps and co. Maybe they have 4, 3, 5. I have 23. So people would come when you want to tell them things. On the day of my flag off, it was the youths who formed the security ring. And they said, nobody there comes near Honorable Fatima. And, you know, ironically, some of these youths are in the opposition party. The opposition party, you can't tell us. Every time it's September, I do the school storm, back to school storm. They don't allow me into the schools because I'm from the PDP. So I stay outside the school. 500 children from Ifakwejayi must stop using poly bag. I give them school bags. I give them water bottle. I give them school sandals. When I started about 6 years ago, I saw students going to school with poly bags, some barefooted. And as a mother, I wept. What is this? And there are people who have an opportunity to change the narrative. I have a project that I call The Blow, Better Life Options for Girls. Peradventure, you had a child, there is life after having a child. So I help you take your child and reintegrate you back into the society. Nobody needs to, you know, talk less of you. I teach you about asserting yourself and ensuring that. So with security and violence, if you keep fighting, when they come, you fight back. But imprint yourself in the hearts of the electorate, they would be the ones to fight.
To fight back for you.
That is
So, Bukola, can I come to you? The elections are approaching. We want women to run and get elected. What are some of the practical things that we need to start to do? What can we do so that women actually, you know?
So I think interesting conversation. I am so. You know, because you hear practical things,
Yes,
you know.
yes.
Interestingly, before I quickly mention that, we've been working on this electoral violence for some years now. And I think this is going to continue because if you don't really have a justice system in place. In 2019 election, after that election, we recorded, and that this is fact. 1,436 electoral offenders. Up to today, nobody is in or out of courts or in prison because you snatched ballot paper, you shot in the hair, you did this. They were arrested, but how they were left off the hook, nobody knows. So until people begin to pay for what they are doing, and then consequences. So again, you need to also understand that, look, it is the women that pay, that this thing affects most.
Highest price.
They are the ones, no, apart from the candidates, they are the ones that become widow. They lose their son, they lose their daughters. You understand? So and we have to have a justice system around this violence. Now, coming back to what we need to do, I will start with the media. The media must report women accurately. Let's stop this. See, I think for her, one thing I have seen is they are not talking about because, look, I deserve the ticket because I'm a woman. No.
I have earned it.
Let's begin to emphasize women's capacity and competence and character.
Absolutely.
You understand? It's about the capacity, it is about the competence, it's about the character. Look at her CV, look at her CV. And that is what you should show. But you cannot be talking about men and say, look, it was a great day in so place today, the honorable, and then you talked about the CV of the men. And then when it comes to reporting the women, you say,
you report on her family.
Just on her family.
This is a good time to take a break, and we'll continue when we get back.
You're very on point.
Interesting conversation.
So on point.
Welcome back to the Leading Woman Show. Now we want to go to the audience and take a question. So who has a question?
Good day. So my question is, so far so good. All our guests have been able to establish that there is need for financial intelligence in running an active participation in politics for women. So how do we link financial intelligence in creating awareness for women to participate in politics?
That's a fantastic question.
We didn't hear it.
How do we link financial independence to women's political participation? I think this is really important because it was the Director General of the United Nations Commission on Africa that said, there can be no women's political empowerment without women's economic empowerment. And there can be no women's economic empowerment without women's political empowerment. So as we begin to wrap up this amazing conversation that we've had, Honorable Sadipe, please, how do we bridge that gap? And how can more women be like you, actually run and win elections?
And win and go somewhere.
Yes.
Which comes first, the chicken or the egg? That's where we are. The bottom line is this. Whether the support is going to come from the men, whether it's going to come from the women, financial support must come. Women also need to wake up and realize that it might not be their turn. It might be another woman's turn. Support her. There was something I used to say when I was campaigning for the first time. I used to say, don't like my attitude.
That's what I say.
Don't like my aggression. Because amongst women, some women just don't like me because I'm blunt and I don't see aggression that I'm coming with as negative. I see it in being sure about myself, confident in who I am, speaking up for my rights.
Assertive.
I'm assertive. But some women just hate me for being assertive. And when I was campaigning and I was raising money, I used to tell friends, even and political associates that hate me, but stand up for the woman folk.
That's it.
Find me disgusting, but stand up for the women folk. Women, we need to begin to stop playing lip service to supporting one another. We need to actually begin to support one another. In 2018, 2019, I got more support from men than from women. And I have a lot of women who are very, very wealthy. Those women could have given up one Hermes bag, one Louis Vuitton bag for me, but they did not. And what I mean by that is a Louis Vuitton bag could be like $3,000, could be some are like $10,000. You could give one up for me. I'm sorry to say it, I did not get the kind of support that I should have gotten from women. I had some support, and it was very, very... I even had a friend tell me I don't support politicians. This is a friend, Korikosu. You know what I mean by Korikosu in Yoruba? It means my friend.
Very close friend.
Close friend. I don't support politicians. But am I a politician to you?
Or am I
your friend?
Your female
aspiring
sister,
to represent
aspiring to represent my local government and women in Nigeria. And I believe I have represented women very well. Another thing I must add is this is not an indictment of my fellow women. But we need to remove ourselves from being as objects of play by men. I'm sorry. I say to my women in my local government all the time. I even still said it yesterday because I had an empowerment program yesterday. And the chairman of the local government sat there and I looked at him and I said, Mutuma Sohu. And I said it. I said, women, stop letting men see you as a plaything. You are not a plaything. You have a brain. Be judged by the head and not the tail. Many women find it the easy way. And I know women go through a lot in life. Some are pushed to it. But we can stand tall. So men will begin to regard us.
And see the value.
See the value we bring to the table. In every environment where we find a lot of men, they will try and use pictures and stuff, even on platforms, to intimidate you. Women, look away from it. Let them put pictures of women. Don't look at yourself as a woman. Don't look at it as them insulting you. Face where you're going. Ignore. Don't fight over every petty thing. And he spoke to me anyhow. And he spoke with his mouth. If you two want to speak to him anyhow, speak to him anyhow. But face, don't take your eyes off the ball.
Focus on...
Focus.
Yes, thank you. All right, so we have 1 minute each to wrap up. I'm sorry. But Bukola, you go. What can we do so that women can run and get somewhere?
So, like I said, women, let's start from what we know and what we can do. And she said, maybe the support are not coming from the women now, but if the men can give the support, let's use it. Let's use it. Let's emphasize. And I keep saying it. One thing we need to know is that we need to emphasize our strengths. This economy will have collapsed if not because of women. Go and check the CBN statistics. Women entrepreneurs are keeping this economy stronger. Go and check it. Then in terms of peace, now just go and check it. America, they passed a law, Women, Peace and Security in the Acts. Now, what does that? They recognize that anywhere you involve women in terms of peace mediation, then the act of violence and extremism drop. So we have a lot to offer this country. Whatever it is now, we may not be there, but we are not where we used to be. What we need to do is, let's keep pushing, we will get there. But let me just drop this lastly. To the people, to the policy makers, to the House of Rep, the Senate, the National Assembly, as you, we are coming back. We need that legislation.
We need that legislation.
We are coming back, and the next assembly must pass that.
Must pass it. The next assembly. Honorable Fatima, 1 minute, please.
Yes, I say all the time that, I said it earlier on, power is not served a la carte, so it's high time
but
for the women.
But we're not fighters.
Yes, well, we're all not fighters. We've got to assert ourselves. Somehow, like she has said, as she was speaking, I said, oh, I see a lot of me in her. So it is what it is. So women, it is time to stop not liking how politics is run. It is time to stop not liking how the government is just making moves. It is time to get involved. Change the narrative.
Yeah.
Be firm. Patriarchy, a lot of men have slept with women against women. Stop being used. A man is sleeping with you and instigating you
That's another.
to hate a woman who you know that this woman would represent me and represent me well. But because he's sleeping with that, that's the only favor he would do. Most times, let me shock you, I have seen situations where the man will sleep with you. They would eventually get into power. When you need help from them, maybe, oh, my daughter just graduated, they would eventually sleep with your daughter as well. So you're using your body, your children's body, everybody who's around you, you're using them as collateral
Collateral
to
damage.
somebody who would have spoken up for you above whispers.
Wow.
It is time for women to rise up, speak above whispers, change the narrative.
Thank you all so much. That was an amazing conversation. I am really, really excited for people to see this. I want to thank my incredible guests for a thoughtful and enlightening discussion. Keep a date with us because next week we'll be talking about another fascinating subject with some other wonderful guests. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to shout out to a leading woman you know and tag us so we can celebrate her too. Until next time, remember that women's leadership can change everything, everywhere. I remain your host, Abosede Jojogan. Bye for now.